Are Florida Democrats clinging to false hope?
All right, despite Florida Democrats' optimism, Biden campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon doesn't consider Florida a battleground state. Her comments clash with local Democrats' narrative, causing the GOP to declare a win. The Biden campaign insists Florida is still in play, while polling shows Trump ahead. Here we go, Joel. What say you?
Are there any Democrats left in Florida? I mean, there are already 900,000 registered Republicans ahead.
Let's break it down.
We talk all the time about.
Break it down.
We talk all the time. You know, you name this one, swing and a miss. Look, you canceled your primary. Why? You basically have nobody running opposed in competitive counties. I mean, listen, you're going to win or you're going to win races here in Orange County.
Sure.
But guess what? You have primaries here. You don't have a primary anywhere else, like a real primary. I mean, it's just so quiet.
Yeah,
from the Democrats, it's so quiet. A year for a presidential election year. Look at Seminole County. Look at Seminole County for a moment. Almost every constitutional office was taken unopposed. The only one with opposition is got primary, and that's the supervisor of elections. Amazing. Not one single Republican turned out in Orange County to truly take on a constitutional position. That's 4 more years of these individuals, and it's amazing that there's not that energy.
There's so much to break down. However, I'll go back to discussions that we've had on our show and with guests about what Democrats need to do to become relevant again. And I mean that relevant across the state of Florida. And we put together a 20-point plan. It's out there.
Please don't say we, because then all of a sudden
I'm sorry.
Republicans are going to think I was working on some Democratic plan to get Democrats to win.
Look, but it's good for Republicans too.
Listen, if you watch, I'm going to say, if you watch it, look, you'll learn a lot. And I think that if Democrats were to take on this plan, it makes it challenging. But I also like the competition. So, but I think whatever the Democrats are doing, David, they're not listening. And they're not listening to, like you say, the tabletop,
kitchen
table issues.
Right.
They're, we talk about, hey, the economy's great. The numbers are all working out, and they all should be working out. And I keep saying that the misery index, David, we got, if the president wants to do anything about his numbers, he's got to work on the misery index. And that's what they feel like. We don't eat at a kitchen table. Most people don't eat at a kitchen table anymore. So the saying kind of maybe goes off. But when you gather in a room with your family and you talk, you don't feel good about tomorrow.
Right.
You don't feel good about tomorrow. Oh, honey, I'm running out of gas. I can't stand going to the gas station. I can't. What surprise would I have?
That's where it matters.
Hey, I got to go buy groceries, honey, and I'm gonna not get eggs this week, or hey, there's a flu. The cows are gonna have.
What the Democrats need to do here in Florida, first, there you go. I was about to say first what you said when we started off the show the Democrats are facing, probably by the time November comes around or when registering the vote ends, maybe a million voter deficit. You can't win statewide campaigns with we're already working at a significant deficit with a million voters. You just can't unless something catastrophic happens. You can't start in the hole. You just can't. So right there is the first step. And if I understand correctly, after the wins in Jacksonville, um, there was this talk about $1 million, $2 million influx into the Democratic organization here in Florida to increase voter registration efforts.
They used it for bail.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, and where's the fruit of that investment? I don't see in the usual spaces where you see people registering um, voters. I just don't see them anymore. Maybe because the rules have changed and made it difficult for third party registrars to register people. They have to uh, individually, depending on the circumstance, register each canvasser. And also, it's just become that much more difficult to do that. Are the Democrats willing to make that investment in third party registers to get out there to places, to individuals where the regular Democratic Party cannot get to? That's the biggest glaring issue that the Democrats need to take care of. Another issue is that Democrats have to start playing for the long term. And sometimes you're going to take some huge losses. The Democrats have been taking huge losses for a generation now. For about 20, 25 years, the Democrats have pretty much lost control of state legislature. And even more so in this last legislative session, where they're in the super minority. They'll take their small wins in, the uh, election of Senator-elect Carlos Guillermo Smith. He had no competition from both the Republican and Democrat side, so he by default becomes the senator-elect. Okay, that's a win. Yay!
Yeah, wait.
But wait, let me break this down some more. Let me break this down so I know where you're going with this. However, it's a seat that was held by another Democrat senator, Linda Stewart.
That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to grab that. And it doesn't really move the needle in either direction. I mean, okay, you're in that seat held by a Democrat. Okay, great. Yay. But Democrats have to start again, look at their infrastructure. Look at where the investment could go when they do try to raise money. That's the third thing, raising money. And again, the little battles that are won by Democrats in whether registering or fundraising or getting seats, being elected to seats, that's great. Those are little wins, and those little wins add up. However, you need a big, focused, long-term plan to have any effective change and make any effective difference in the political landscape here in Florida.
No, yeah, you said it all. Look, the Democrats, they keep winning. They pulled Florida out of play. They wanted new. They said we're going to go for Texas and we're going to go for Florida. They said that bold, early, and it was like really, they're whether they said it to motivate people or whatnot, it fell flat because they withdrew almost as quickly as they got in. I mean, who's running for Senate? I mean, we should be hearing that name already.
Right.
And instead,
Right.
we hear Scott already talking about, shame on you for telling me I'm going after IVF when my family uses it. Shame on you for thinking that we're not caring. That's the commercial.
And
And he can afford to do that commercial because guess what? This other person has to get way out there to find a way to catch up.
right, and that's another thing about the candidates also. I can see the candidate who is running is the presumptive front runner for the Democrats for the state Senate. I'm sorry, for the Senate race against Senator Scott. I can see her face and I can see her name, but what pops into my mind, and probably because I just saw her on the monitor here at the Capitol, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It just sticks in my head, and I can't remember Debbie, the other Debbie who's actually running. And that's another problem with the Democrats, the quality. And this could be for both parties, the quality of the candidate and getting name recognition out there early. Democrats seem to say, hey, there's an open seat, or hey, we need a candidate to run against this individual, that individual. And they jump into the race very late in the cycle. And my personal and professional belief is the earlier that you start, reasonably started in the election cycle, the better for a number of things. But we see a lot of these candidates file for office, in May before the August election, June before the August election, at filing time. I said, how do you run an effective name recognition campaign, besides an effective campaign strategy, when you're really don't have that much time to campaign, get your name out, fundraise, put together an organization, put together infrastructure, and a good strategy, whether it's on the field, whether it's messaging, whatever. It's just like, it just seems like the Democrats prefer it this way, that there's a joy in being in the super minority. There's a benefit to it.
Well, if you read the Sentinel, David, you have a different perspective altogether, because if you read the Sentinel, they were cheering the Democrats on for having one person, at least one Democrat in each one of the races.
It's that hopium.
Okay, they're finally doing something. They got somebody in each one of these races. Yeah, but where are they all going? They're all going to try to get their money from the same people.
Exactly.
So the money's already now down
right
per candidate. You have okay, well, now we think that people are going to vote for Democrats because they're going to vote for four. So we don't have to have many primaries. We're going to have four on the ballot. So that's going to drive, Democrats and women out to vote, and they're going to vote us in, and we're going to take the majority that way. Well, that's really short-sighted when you think about who's moving into the state, how conservative the state is becoming.
True.
The reason they're coming is because of the governor. They're coming because there's conservative leadership, and that's the way they're going to vote. Okay, I don't see any nobody's motivating Democrats to come into the state of Florida. I bet we discourage it, please. If you live in New York, you can stay there. Unless you're a conservative in New York. And but what I'm saying is, if you're just thinking that one issue is going to bring people out and change the complexion of the House, you're missing the boat. And this is what I think happens with the Democrats all the time. Because you wrap yourself around an issue because it's working everywhere else.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's kind of like it falls flat here.
Right. I mean, we have the Amendment 3 and Amendment 4 ballot initiatives in November. Amendment 3, legalization of marijuana, recreational use of marijuana. Amendment 4 spells out the terms for legal abortion here in Florida. And it's those issues
abortion
that, like you said, that Democrats will hang their hat on and pray that it will draw, turnout, higher turnout for Democrats, and we got to move beyond that. It's more than that. We've got to stop saying I'm not taking developer money or I'm not taking big, pharma money or big agriculture money, and start understanding that in politics, and I've seen this time and time again from my years working in Chicago to my years working here in Central Florida. Yeah, you come out and say these things, and it sounds good. It's part of that hopium that you give your base. But the reality is, without fail, elected who starts off down that path, and especially from what I've seen with the Democrats, in the end, they're working with developers. They're taking, donations from big agriculture and so forth and so on. It's like, come on, it's time to put down the whole, activism, advocate piece and be more business savvy.
Sometimes you're getting the money from somebody. If you're taking money from somebody, if they're willing to give you that money because you're saying, look, I am pro-development, not the same way you are.
Right.
But if you give me a project that is acceptable, I'm going to help you get it pushed through.
Exactly.
And you're going to, when you get elected, you're going to. So why not take the money? Why not take the money now and say, look, can I disagree with some of your projects? And they'll say yes, but we just want to make sure we streamline things. Most of the time, they're just trying to make sure that they don't hit more red tape when you're elected. Oh, sure, this is fun. I'm going to put somebody in there that just wants to absolutely say, no development, period, and that district is off limits to me. And I just have to go to the other commissioners.
Right.
That's just more work for me. If I can count on the fact that you'll open your door to me and at least listen to me, that was Pete Clark. Pete Clark, would at least listen to you.
Former commissioner of the district for a year in Orange County.
Yes, and as a commissioner, the door is open. I'll talk with you. I may not, vote for it, but if I can help you get to the planning stage or through the planning stage, that's a different story. I'm
Right.
still voting against it,
Right.
but I'm not going to stop you from moving forward. I'm going to help you.
Right. Exactly.
So that's a different that's a different mindset. So when you say, okay, well, that person's taking money from developers, well, they're taking money that's going to help them win, and you should vote for them. Okay, keep your vote on them because that's winning money right there. That's going to help you in the future. So restricting your funding, look, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking money from somebody. Just limits who you are. It limits what you can accomplish when you actually get into office.
When Superman goes off of goes off the radar, goes bizarro. Batman's not gonna reach into his utility belt and pull out his batarang or whatever. He's gonna reach in and pull out a chunk of kryptonite and put Superman down when he's out of control. So every candidate should use everything in their campaign utility belt to win. And there's respectable ways of doing that and working with partners that in the past we would not typically work with. There's always opportunities to sit down and see where there's some common ground, where we can negotiate and have compromise. That's what politics is all about. And a lot of the candidates, again, in my years of doing this, tend to handcuff themselves or come into these campaign battles without all the necessary resources and tools in their campaign utility belt.
Kudos to the Democrats for leaving Florida. We appreciate it. Their honesty was well received. Thank you very much. We don't need Joe Biden coming to the state telling us how to run it. We love the fact that
O'Malley Dillon is right. I mean, Florida is not in play. It's just not, and you can look at the registration numbers, and regardless of what's on the ballot, we remember we need 60% of registered voters to vote in favor of those two ballot initiatives for them to pass. 60%. That's a heavy lift.
Well, you won a statewide race when you had your present chairman win the agriculture, and now you don't even have agriculture any longer because she chose to do something overstepping. You know, well, she was the only name that you could use, I guess, because she had the recognition, but she could have won agriculture again. And now she'd be running, getting ready to have marijuana on the ballot, and that would set her up for run for governor. But she got greedy. You guys got greedy, so
Hey. And I know I can be critical of the Democrats because I am a old time Chicago machine Democrat, and I've seen things, many things over the 3.5 decades I've been in and out of politics, and I always want better, not just for Democrats or not just for Republicans, for everyone, for our communities. And a lot of what we talk about, a lot of what I talk about, is good information for both parties, for anyone who's interested in running for office in their community. Again, Jay in Washington is about getting great people with great ideas to represent their communities. And we want to be there for them, train them, mentor them, work with them to achieve their goals for their communities. And so, it's politics nowadays. It's tough. It's divisive, but it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way, David. It doesn't. Look, you're critical of Democrats. I'm critical of Republicans because we see them make so many mistakes.
Yes.
And we see these mistakes early on. And even if you're willing to, give them a freebie and say, hey, maybe you should look at this, they're going to shut you out, but they're going to listen to everybody else. They're going to listen to everybody else, and they're going to find themselves so many directions that they can't maintain it. You start spinning so many plates, you can't control it anymore. So one thing that you'll find with Jay in Washington, if you're looking and you're interested, is the Leadership Academy, which is rolling out in 2025. But think now, because you should be running, and maybe not declared, but you should be running a year and a half, 2 years out, preparing yourself. Get into the Leadership Academy. Learn the things that are going to surprise you before they surprise you. Don't make an investment in yourself in politics until you've taken a step. There's a lot of programs out there that try to say that they're going to prepare you. They don't prepare you. They simply give you more network. They see other leaders. You're all going to run for office. We see where they come from. And yet they had the same mistakes because they didn't know what they're going to see. Okay, I need signs. You don't need a single sign. I'll tell you right now, it makes you feel good, but you don't need a single sign. You could win without a single sign. And signs don't vote. Now, if you buy 1,200 signs and you only get 800 votes, you've spent way too much per vote. So, yes, you're going to have signs. I'm not saying you won't. Literature. Make sure your literature is being looked at. Make sure that it's, actually consumable. I've seen literature that's horrible. Learn how to be able to speak to the media. Learn how to get the media's attention. Yeah, bitched about Donald Trump. He gets the media's attention, and he did, and he got elected. Media blame themselves. So they try not to talk about him, but he continually makes it about talking about him. You're going to learn those things in a leadership academy. A leadership academy that cares about you. I don't care. You could be you could be worthless. You could be absolutely, down on yourself, you leave a leadership academy, you're going to see your potential. You're going to see, you know what? Maybe I could run. Well, maybe you just want to learn more about government and what's going on and how I can help get the right person elected. So look for that. Great organization. The United Voice is working on a lot of great things. I can't wait till they roll out. So like, share, be part of our community, and remember, comment. But remember to, again, David's going to say it. Don't bring your feelings. Bring your facts, because we don't care about your feelings.
Exactly. Thank you, Joel. We'll see you the next time. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up. Joel Hawksley, David Washington, your political innovators. We'll see you the next time.